Hi there, my name is Bianca Gonzalez and I'm the Bullying Prevention Program Coordinator with the Riverside Medical Clinic Charitable Foundation. And today's presentation is going to cover the topic of cyberbullying. So before we go ahead and get into that, I would just want to share a little bit about our foundation and what we do aside from our bullying prevention programming. So we were actually founded about 35 years ago by 19 doctors that worked at the Riverside Medical Clinic. We're not directly through the Riverside Medical Clinic, but our biggest relationship is through the doctors that founded us, and they're actually our biggest partners and sponsors in everything that we do. In 2014, the Anti-Bullying Institute was implemented, where we had a lecture on the topic of bullying, and about 500 people attended that lecture. So just based off of that, it was really important to start bullying prevention programming within Riverside County, California. So we provide these classes in English and Spanish on the topic of bullying and cyberbullying, in person and as webinars, and then we also provide kindness events and activities geared towards youth and professional development opportunities for educators as well and community members with our annual bullying prevention conference and our Take 30 webinars as well. So aside from that, we offer health-related programming such as monthly support groups for chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's, endometriosis, prostate cancer, brain injury, stroke, as well as different health-based events and lectures in honor of some of our founding doctors. We also give out scholarships to students, to those that are actually currently working in the healthcare field, wanting to pursue further education, and maybe for an individual that's caring for somebody or a loved one with special needs or special circumstances. And we also have a newly implemented program that is our Traveling Triplets program. So it's a therapeutic doll interactive activity for those who are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. So let's go ahead and get into the presentation. We're going to go ahead and start with talking about cyberbullying. So just think about this in your head, in your own words. What is cyberbullying? Do you know the definition? Is this a new term for you? Have you heard about this before? Is this something that, back then you didn't experience, but now you realize that, it's happening so much with our youth. So just ask yourself those questions and just marinate and think about those. We're going to go ahead and get into the definition. So cyberbullying differs from traditional bullying to where it is willful and repeated harm inflicted by computers, cell phones, and other electronic devices. It is not accidental, it's intentional, and it just reflects a pattern of behavior that is just not one isolated incident. So with the traditional definition, if it's just an isolated incident where it's an unkind behavior, then it's not necessarily labeled as bullying. But if it's repeated and it's causing emotional or physical harm in some way and it's progressing, that's considered bullying. Where can it happen? So it can happen on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, the list goes on. There's so many social media platforms now. Also on video sharing sites, the most popular ones are YouTube and Vimeo and Vivo, as well as gaming devices. So Xboxes, PlayStations, Nintendos, and so on, as well as via texting, emails, and online forums. Why is it different? It can actually happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it can reach a student when he or she is alone. It can happen any time of the day or night. I mean, at the age of preteens and teens, their cell phone is their life, and if they have access to it 24/7 and somebody's just constantly messaging them, constantly posting things about them on social media, it's just something that they can't necessarily get away from compared to traditional bullying where it's happening face to face, and once they come home, they're not around the aggressor anymore. Messages and images can be posted anonymously and distributed very quickly to a very wide audience. So at times it's difficult and impossible to trace the source, and deleting these inappropriate or harassing messages and pictures is extremely difficult after they've been posted or sent, which is one of the reasons why it's so difficult is that you can screenshot anything nowadays and it just takes a matter of seconds. Even if you automatically delete it, maybe 10 seconds later, it only takes about 3 seconds to take a screenshot. And, it can be shared with a very, very wide audience. So what are the different types of bullying, cyberbullying? So according to the website stopitcyberbully.com, types of cyberbullying can include but are not limited to, these are just some different types that we came across. Flaming, using inappropriate or vulgar language to attack or fight with someone. Harassing, so repeatedly sending inappropriate, hurtful, or hateful messages. Outing somebody, so sharing a victim's secrets or personal information in a public forum. Exclusion, intentionally and publicly excluding somebody from a group and tormenting them after exclusion. So this can actually be done in person, but it can also be done online as well. And impersonating somebody, so you can actually, this kind of ties into catfishing. So posing as someone for the purpose of damaging their reputation, inviting an attack, or sharing real or fabricated information about them, or even stalking. So electronically following somebody and sending them targeted messages with the intention of scaring, harming, or intimidating them. Some examples of cyberbullying could be sending mean messages or threats to a person's social media account or cell phone, spreading rumors online, stealing a person's account information to break into their account and just continue to send damaging messages. And I just ask you, these are just a couple of examples, but ask yourself, what are some examples you've heard of or you have seen as well? Unfortunately, the list goes on with examples when it comes to cyberbullying. But as parents, I'm sure that you have seen, something on your end where it differs from the examples that I shared. So why is cyberbullying so hard to combat? Just like traditional bullying, one of the main reasons why it's hard to combat is that it's very underreported. Cyberbullying is underreported as well. But there are some differing reasons with cyberbullying as well. So children and teens often know more about electronic devices and apps than their own parents. And that's why, we just urge you as parents to take advantage and just learn about these different apps. And we have a very useful form that can assist you with that and just understanding, like, what is TikTok? What is Snapchat? What is Instagram? And, if you have a cell phone, go ahead and if you want to create your own, or if your child has one, go ahead and log on to theirs and just take note of their privacy settings, their security settings, how to block, how to restrict. Each and every one of these social media sites has a way to do that. It's just, taking some time to get informed. So you can be just as tech savvy as your kids. At times, threats may not be taken seriously since it's being done online. It's really hard for children and teens to discuss this with their parents. When it comes to bullying, they may feel a sense of embarrassment, a sense of like, who can I talk to about this? Like, sometimes they feel like they're the only ones experiencing this, but unfortunately, there's so many students, other kids, other teens that are going through the same thing they are experiencing, and they tend to feel isolated in their situation. Children and teens are getting used to seeing negativity online and in person. Comments online are not seen as serious forms of aggression, and online behavior is constant, often anonymous, and it just disappears depending on the app that's being used. So target feels like they cannot prove anything. For example, on Snapchat, you can post a picture and within 10 seconds it disappears. So, if something's happening on there and it's on, it's just really difficult to take it seriously. But like I said, if, a screenshot is taken, then that doesn't technically disappear forever. And law enforcement intervention is unlikely unless there's clear evidence of a crime or significant threat to somebody's physical safety. So a couple of statistics when it comes to cyberbullying is that over 80% of teens use a cell phone regularly, making it the most popular form of technology and the most common medium for cyberbullying. And about half of young people have experienced some form of cyberbullying, and about 10 to 20% experience it regularly. 90% of teens who report being cyberbullied have also been bullied offline, so it does overlap, unfortunately. If a student is being bullied in person, most likely it's continuing through electronic devices. And girls are two times more likely to be victims of cyberbullying, and cyberbullying victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to contemplate suicide. So we talked a little bit about the statistics, but what negative effects, what does cyberbullying lead to short-term and long-term when it comes to emotional or physical differences or physical effects when it comes to children and teens. So they may feel sad. Obviously, these are just emotions, normal emotions when it comes to this: sad, depressed, angry, frustrated, humiliated. They might feel hopeless because you just don't know who to turn to. A loss of confidence and low self-esteem, and even becoming disinterested in school and exhibiting physical symptoms as well. So I want to go ahead and share a video when it comes to the long-lasting effects of cyberbullying. It's being told from the point of view of a mother, and her son experienced, bullying and cyberbullying. So he was experiencing it on both ends, in person and online. And I just want to go ahead and share this, and we'll talk a little bit further about this after the video.
My name is Amy Briggs. I'm from Lafargeville, New York. Been married for 22 years. We have 2 beautiful children. Michael is a great kid. He loves sports. He plays lacrosse. He's bright, top of his class. Daniel was an old soul. He had a soft side of him that was second to none for a kid his age. He wanted to help people. Our neighbor down the road had cancer, and Daniel was by his side every day. Daniel went over and sat and talked to him and held his hand. And after he died, Daniel went over and helped his wife. It wasn't like he was doing it out of obligation either. He did it because he truly wanted to do it. That's who he was. Daniel had really been bullied most of his school career. When he hit high school, it exploded. He didn't fit in with a lot of the crowds. He wasn't into sports. He was into hunting and trapping, which not a lot of kids his age are into. So he had a hard time finding kids who had common interests with him. So that made him a target a lot of the time. It started out with words. He was called just horrible names. It progressed to having trash thrown at him. He was punched in the stomach. He was made to lick a bus window. He was jumped from behind walking to the buses. He was ridiculed for the music he listened to. You name it. They looked for any little thing just to make his life miserable. When he was jumped walking to the bus, the boy told him the night before that he was going to do it. He said to him in a text, "Why? I know you don't like me. That's why I don't come near you. I don't have any interactions with you. I respect that. Why can't you respect me? What have I done to you?" His response was, "Because you're a pussy and you need your ass kicked." It makes no sense to me even today. One of the kids that Daniel had a lot of issues with had texted him. I saw the text myself, and it said, "Why don't you take one of your precious guns and do the world a favor, go kill yourself?" He texted that same kid, and he said, "You won't have to worry about me anymore. I'm going to go home and kill myself." And the kid came back with, "Put up or shut up." That day, he told people in lunch, he had told people in his classroom, told a number of people on the bus that he was going to kill himself. Those were his words: "I'm going home and I'm going to kill myself." And the bus driver said, "I'll see you tomorrow, Dan." He told the bus driver, "You won't see me tomorrow." The one person he knew that would do something was the last person he texted and the last person he called, his hunting friend, Matt. He knew Matt would try to call us, and he said to Matt, "Please don't call my mom. My mom will take me to the hospital." He was trying to keep Daniel on the phone, get his sister's attention. He was writing her notes and having her call their father, who's a friend of my husband's. And we missed the call. We missed the call. We came out of Michael's basketball game, and my husband Rob said, "I missed a call from Cal. I'll call him when I get home." Next thing happened, literally within a minute of saying that, so our other friend Wally calls. Now, guys don't talk to each other all the time. And Rob runs to the van, and he said, "Daniel's talking suicide." I called my next door neighbor, and I begged her to go over and check on him. and she yelled, "Daniel," and she thought she heard him say something, and she shouted out, "We love you." And then she heard the shotgun blast. And I ran to his room, and the sight that I saw was horrific. It was horrific. And I remember hearing myself screaming, but I couldn't feel it. And running back outside. And I could hear Michael screaming, "I want my brother back." And every EMT that showed up, I begged him, "Please just find a pulse. I'll take him any way that I can have him." There was. I've played a million scenarios over in my head what I would do if I was there 30 minutes earlier. Knowing what I know now, I would just wrap him in my arms and just beg him and tell him how much he means to so many people. Because so many people have talked to us since he died. They've sent us letters. I received letters from kids his age. I just wish he knew how much he meant to so many people. He did matter. He does matter. His book bag with his books, still right on the bench where he left it that day. We will never recover from this. Never. When somebody tells you that they are going to kill themselves or they're going to do harm, do something. Tell somebody. Give them their 15 minutes. Validate them. Because everybody needs to be validated. When you know there's somebody being bullied, don't be a bystander. You are just as guilty as the bullies when you stand by and do nothing. You see it, you do something about it. You don't want to intervene, then you talk to an adult, and you talk to an adult until somebody does something.
So this video, as you can see, was intended for, teens. And we've actually shared this with middle school and high school students. It's strong in nature, but it just shows the long-lasting consequences that bullying can have on somebody. And one of those consequences is suicidal ideation or the act of suicide, feelings of hopelessness. And I just hope in watching this, you as parents just realize that you know your children the best. And if you see that something's off, if you see, any of these effects that are happening within your own home, find a solution and collaborate with your child's school and just let them know that you're there for them, you're their support system. And they don't need to feel this type of way because, as she was saying, they do matter. And just giving them that light at the end of the tunnel that they truly need so they don't feel like they're the only ones going through this. It's a really hard video to watch, but the message of it in the end just shows that, your words have an impact. It can truly impact somebody's life, whether you're a student or an adult. But as parents watching this, just understand these signs that your children might be exhibiting, whether it is bullying or cyberbullying related, or it can be something else that's going on within them internally and personally. So we'll move to the next slide, where these are some signs, to look out for if your child is being cyberbullied. So just look for a loss of interest in electronic devices, and maybe they won't discuss why the change in interest. Getting tense or stressed out when hearing, text messages or instant messages, these alerts that are on their phone. And it's just something, it brings up something negative, within them. Withdrawing. This is a big sign. If they're withdrawing from family and friends and at home they're in their room all of the time, they don't want to come out and eat dinner, they don't want to hang out in the living room and watch TV with you, they don't want to go outside and play with their friends, that is a clear sign that something is going on. They're reluctant to attend school or other social activities because the bullying is happening at school as well and online, on top of that happening online. They're becoming sad, angry, or frustrated, and they seem to worry a lot. So that anxiety within them, grades declining, and obvious changes in eating or sleeping habits. So physical changes that are occurring within them as well. So what about on the opposite end of the spectrum if your child is exhibiting cyberbullying behavior. So some signs to look out for could be just having a history of bullying, or they may have been a target of bullying themselves. And this is a way of lashing out. This is a defense mechanism that they built within themselves. This has been done to me, so I'm going to be the same way to others so I don't get hurt again. Avoiding conversations about computer and cell phone activities, using multiple online accounts. Let's say you're nearby and they are on, one website or on one social media account, then, they notice that you're over their shoulder and they close it, or they switch screens. Obviously that means they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Showing excessive use of computer or cell phone usage, and just becoming overly upset if you deny access to their computers or cell phone as well. So what can we do? Have the cyberbullying conversation. In our traditional bullying parent class, we say the same thing. We just go ahead and have the bullying conversation. It all ties in together. Bullying and cyberbullying, have the conversation, and I say start it at a young age. Obviously, the topics and the way that you're going to be conversating is going to differ based off of age, but I suggest have these conversations so they can go ahead and open up and share their experiences with you and just understand a little bit more about this and just the consequences of if they're exhibiting this negative behavior, or if something is happening to them, they at least know that you're there for them and you're willing to help them find a solution, and you're their support system at home. And a statistic that I do want to share is 41% of parents have never had a conversation with their child about bullying, which is just so eye-opening to me, because this is definitely a conversation that needs to be had within the home. It's a conversation that needs to be had within the community. It's a conversation that needs to be had within the school as well. We always say it takes a village, and it needs to be talked about. Just like I'm talking to you about this, from our foundation to you as parents, providing you these tips, strategies, and solutions, you need to go ahead and just continue that with your child as well. So what are some reasons why they don't want to talk about this with their parents? They might feel embarrassed that it's happening to them. I've said it. They feel like they're isolated. They're the only ones going through this. They're afraid that it will continue to get worse. They fear repercussions from the aggressor. Sometimes I think it's their problem to solve. Like, if this is happening to me, like, I'm too embarrassed. I'm going to solve this in my own way. And they fear that they're going to lose access to technology if they tell. Obviously, if you told them before, like, if you do this, or, if you do that, you're going to get restrictions and I'm going to take it all away from you. And they just don't want to deal with that, because at this age, technology is everything to them. And of course, their privacy is most important. But for you as parents, security and safety is the most important thing when it comes to these cyberbullying situations. So just some do's and don'ts to keep in mind. Tell them that they're not alone, and to be patient, and find resources. So we're here providing you resources. There's plenty of resources online when it comes to bullying prevention, and how to assist your child if this is happening to them, how to collaborate with your school sites, how to start the conversation. So many different resources. You are not alone in this situation. Encourage them to speak up as well, and speak up within the home, speak up to an adult at school, and just encourage them to find that support system wherever they're at, where they feel comfortable letting them know what's going on. This is huge. Discourage password sharing. It's really important that they don't share any passwords with friends, because at that age, and I remember when I was younger, my best friend was, my best friend for that week, and the following week, we might have been frenemies or enemies. And, if they have my information, who knows what they're going to go ahead and do with it. So it's just really important that they share their password information with you, their parents, and that's the only people they should tell. Check in regularly and just set boundaries online, just to go ahead and keep them safe online, which is the most important thing. Please don't take matters entirely into your own hands. You have a lot of help. You have a lot of assistance when it comes to outside organizations like us. You have a lot of assistance from the school site to help you work collaboratively in finding a solution. Don't express disbelief, because if they even have the courage to open up and tell you what's going on, and maybe you're like, well, it's just a part of growing up, or, well, why didn't you do this instead? Why did you react that way? Or just expressing that, response that they weren't expecting, and expressing that disbelief. They may not open up to you again. And just don't suggest them to stand up to the aggressor, because every child is different. And a child that is a little bit more timid doesn't have the courage to do that. And that is why we need to help them build up, that courage, that resiliency to be able to self-advocate for themselves. It's a process. But if your child is more assertive and they can go ahead and relay what they want in an assertive and respectful way, then by all means, go ahead and encourage that. And just don't suggest they just ignore it. It's really important, because this goes both ways. We tell parents to not ignore this, to do something about it right away so it doesn't continue. But then at times we speak to teens, to children, and we let them know to ignore it. Don't give them that reaction, because at the end of the day, if you're reacting in a certain way out of frustration, out of sadness, if you're crying, if you're showing fear, the aggressor won, and that's what they wanted. So it goes both ways. At times we may tell students, ignore it, don't be around them, ignore them, but obviously speak up and tell an adult, so you can have that support system to assist you. And then as parents, we tell you, don't ignore it, do something about it and find that solution right away. And most importantly, do not be afraid to ask for help. You have a lot of support all the way around. So, question I have for you, do you know what your children are doing online? If your child has a cell phone, laptop, computer, do you know what they're doing online? Are you constantly checking to see, what they're doing? Addressing it. Have a conversation about the use of technology, staying safe and early often, take inventory of the social networks they're a part of, and just educate them on appropriate online behavior. And set cyber safety rules, discuss what websites they're visiting and what isn't appropriate to share online. Most importantly, because this happens a lot, just letting them know that they don't need to share every aspect of their life. They don't need to share every location that they're at, because this doesn't necessarily tie into cyberbullying, but it can tie into predators that are online as well. So it's definitely, ultimately, it's for their own good and it's for their safety. This is my favorite point to talk about. Talk to them about the impact of their digital footprint and how it can affect their future. So it's really important for the preteens and teens to understand whatever you're posting online, whatever you're commenting on, whatever you're liking, whatever you're sharing. When you're applying to your dream job or your job or your dream university, they tend to look at, obviously your professional resumes, but then they want to look into your personal resumes, which is, your social media accounts. They want to know how you are personally, who you are as a person, and they look into that. So it's just really important that, they think before they post, they think before they like things, because it definitely can have an impact on their future in a negative way. So just some important things to keep in mind. Also, just a helpful tool for you as parents, understanding their lingo. So they tend to be a little lazy in the way they type things. So as you can see, these are just abbreviations for certain words that they might be saying. The list goes on. These are just a couple of the most popular ones that they might be noting in text messages or online as well. And it's kind of a way for them to speak in a way where you as parents don't really know what they're saying. So it's kind of a code language for them too. A great and helpful tool when it comes to just setting boundaries and setting clear and concise consequences when it comes to their technology and staying safe, and with cyberbullying, making an online safety contract. So this contract, you can print it out. They have it in English and Spanish, and there is a parent contract and a children's contract. So it literally notes everything when it comes to the contract. You both sign it. If they break this contract, then they're going to be set some consequences that you place. It's whatever consequences you want to go ahead and place when it comes to their technology. And it seems to be taken more seriously because it's a written contract that both of you signed, instead of a verbal contract where you're just saying, if you break this rule, then this is what's going to happen to you, where at times it may not be taken as seriously as a written contract. So just a helpful tool for you as parents to take advantage of. So the most important thing now is, if this is happening to your child, collaborating with their school, keep a written record of all bullying incidents reported from your child, be very detailed as possible, who, what, where, when, how, and record witnesses if possible. And with cyberbullying, it's different because it's being done online. So if you're able to print the evidence, do so. Texts, emails, messages, along with the timestamp. And act immediately. Find an ally, speak to their teacher or counselor, set up follow-up appointments to discuss progress. This is really important because one meeting isn't going to solve everything. It's important to set up follow-up meetings just to make sure that everything is happening accordingly, that there's being, positive progress being made to find a solution. If nothing's being done, obviously a follow-up meeting needs to be scheduled in order to figure out, hey, what's going on? What is it that we can continue to do to help find a solution to this situation? And just keep notes from all the meetings with teachers and administrators. And just always remember, and this is highlighted in red, that every school district and school within that district have different methods of reporting and bullying prevention policies. So talk to administration or visit your district's website to get informed. We talk a lot about self-advocacy for students and helping build that advocacy within themselves so they can be assertive and just let it be known what they want in a respectful way. But we also let them know, be informed of what your school is doing, be informed of their bullying prevention policies. And we do the same for you as parents. Be informed because every district is different and every individual school site is different as well. So please feel free to check out your school district's website, and it should be noted on the front page, whether it's their discrimination, harassment, or bullying prevention policies, and they need to have one. So nationwide, what is being done about bullying? Are there federal laws that apply to bullying? Currently, no. But California does have laws and regulations that cover bullying and cyberbullying. They adopt policies prohibiting harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and also provide resources to support LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students, as well as other at-risk students. And if you need any further information where it comes to anti-bullying laws, go ahead and visit stopbullying.gov, and they can provide you that information if you're located within another state as well. So when it comes to cyberbullying in the law, it's considered a crime if there's threats of violence, child pornography, or sending sexually explicit messages or photos, taking a photo or video of someone in a place where he or she would expect privacy, and stalking and hate crimes as well. So we're almost at the end of the presentation, so I want to go ahead and explain some actions that you can take online for themselves and for others. For themselves, just stay safe online and on social media. Untag your username from offending posts or photos. Unfriend the person, remove that connection. You no longer need them to reach out to you. You don't need to reach out to them for any reason, just for your own sanity and peace of mind. Change your privacy settings. If it needs to be done, delete the account altogether. And most importantly, block this individual. By blocking them, they can't add you as a friend, they can't send you messages or see your account, and you can no longer see theirs. So there's a complete disconnect of communication and visibility on both ends. When it comes to, providing support online for others, you don't necessarily have to stand up to the aggressor online, but you can give support by friending the target online, or not liking or commenting on negative pictures or comments. It shows a huge, huge step in the right direction when you're not sharing, these negative posts that are being posted about somebody. And by not liking them and not commenting on them, ultimately maybe reporting them, can be a way of giving support. Report the incident. If you see something negative online, every social media has settings to go ahead and report what's being seen online if it's something that's negative. And spread kindness, online and offline. There's so many ways to spread kindness for a target of bullying, and you can just do that by these different examples that I just shared, or it can be done in person by just allowing somebody to sit with you during lunch, letting them know like, hey, how are you? Giving somebody a high five. How's your day going? Just giving them that validation and letting them know like, hey, somebody's actually asking that they care about me, like that's awesome. Little things like that can make a huge impact and difference in somebody's life. So I want to go ahead and share this video just to show how a little kindness goes a long way.
This is a message to my sister Shalisha. When I gave birth to my beautiful daughter Lyra, I was terrified. All the mornings when you used to come to my house and you would bath her, you would help me do everything. I could never thank you enough for loving me when I forgot to love me.
I really appreciate all the little things you've been doing for me. Every day for 46 years, you bought me a cup of tea in bed.
This is a message for my mum. My children are on the autistic spectrum. I've gone through a lot of struggles in the last year and a half to get Joseph into a special needs school. He was the one that stepped in and booked us all on a family break.
I would really like to thank my school friend Josh. His friendship and his kindness means the world to me. When some people are mean to me because I'm different, Josh is always nice to me and always looks out for me.
My name is Marcus Perno Daly, and I'm short, dark and handsome. I was paralysed from the top chest down. I know that you decided to put your life on hold. I couldn't ask for anything more.
In October, I had started hormones because I'm transgender, and a month later I met Tallulah. It's been pretty tough, and it's probably been super tough for you, but you've been amazing.
You and your family were willing to eat whatever I baked, and that really helped and encouraged me to know that I could do it. And now I work at a lovely bakery which is behind me.
You got me out of the house, you organised the girly night.
You know, I needed someone and you was there, and that meant so much to me, bro.
Baby girl, when you see this, hopefully you realise how much I really do appreciate you and love you for the person who you really are.
I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the earth.
Thank you so much, Mum. You mean the world to me. Sorry.
I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I do. It just shows how important it is as adults to be kind to one another, and just by, you know, students and children and teens seeing us behave this way with one another, they definitely will realize that they can go ahead and do that as easily as we can. And I just urge you just to spread a little kindness, you know, towards one another, and just be kind to yourself as well, because you're doing the best that you possibly can. And these videos that are shared in this presentation, feel free to share them, you know, with your children, and have, you know, this important conversation when it comes to cyberbullying, but also the importance of being kind to one another and the impact that you can make on somebody's life just by saying these kinds of things to them. So I want to go ahead and end the presentation with a call to action. So I urge you to just set some time aside and have the cyberbullying conversation with your child. And you can plan that whichever way you would like. You can spend as much time as you would like. If you want to do it, you know, an everyday type of thing, about 10 to 15 minutes, you know, it's up to you. But just have the conversation with them and letting them understand the impact that they can have on somebody's life, you know, in person and online. So just a quick call to action. These are just some helpful resources and websites. And for more information, please visit our website, www.rmccharity.org, where you will find all of our bullying prevention programming and resources on there, as well as our health-related programming if you are interested. And we also have social media. So we have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and that's our handle where you can you know, look us up with that. And then we also have all of our videos on our YouTube page. So please stay connected with us via our website and through social media. And we hope this was beneficial and helpful for you and feel free to reach out to us. Our information is on our website, and we can assist you with anything you need when it comes to our bullying prevention and health-related programming. Thank you.